on what he should do with the person that Wormwood has been assigned to. And he gives him lots of excellent advice about how to subtly tempt a human being away from thoughts of God and one's neighbor toward thoughts of self, towards materialism, doubt, and even denial of God. And he says that all of this is done so that the soul of the human being will wind up being with, and quote unquote, our Father below. See, that's what they're wanting. And one of the letters, Screwtape is writing, Wormwood's human has recently converted to Christianity, and so he's freaking out. And his human is starting to go to church, and he doesn't know what to do. And so Screwtape is like, oh, that's no problem. Just get him really busy. You see, if he gets him really busy, there's no time for relationship with God. And that's really what they want. They don't want any relationship. And why is relationship important? Y'all, it's the most important thing ever. Because many will say, Lord, Lord, didn't I prophesy in your name? Didn't I heal in your name? And all of these miracles? Didn't I do all of these things in your name? And what will he say to them? Depart from me. I never knew you. Do you see why relationship is so critical? That it's not about what we're doing for him. It's about knowing him and being with him. And knowing, more importantly, that he is with you. Now, I can tell you this. I can teach this to your left brain. But your right brain, if your father was not there for you, or your mother was not there for you, it's not going to affect that part. You have to have a new experience to override an old experience. That's why you have to actually experience God being with you. And it can really happen, and it's very, very powerful. I wanted to share this. I think this was good. Screwtape is the guest of honor at the annual dinner for the Tempters Training College for young devils. I don't know why. That's just my sick sense of humor. I think that's really funny. And he claims that hell, this is very powerful though. He claims that hell will be populated not so much with grandiose sinners as with ordinary people who through conformity, materialism, worldliness, muddy thinking, and petty corruption lose all sight of heaven in their lives. Wow. That it's not going to be populated so much with the grandiose sinners, but with ordinary people who through conformity, materialism, worldliness, muddy thinking, or petty corruption lose all sight of heaven in their lives. And it's kind of like those seeds that fall on the ground and you know, the things grow up, the weeds grow up and choke out the seed that so many of us, you know, can, just the issues of life can come in and choke out that in our lives. So this posture is concerned more with how to serve God and what to accomplish for God. But you've got to realize this, that all of this is going to pass away. And what is the one thing that's going to be left? It's going to be relationship with him. That is the most important thing. Don't leave earth without it. Just a good little bumper sticker. So at the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus gave a haunting description of those who have accomplished a great deal for God, but did not ultimately desire Christ Himself. They accomplished a lot for God, but did not really want Christ Himself. And that's where He's saying, "Depart from me, I never knew you." The problem with this stance, let me get my next page, is that it also fails to alleviate our fears and manages to amplify one fear in particular, our fear of insignificance. See, that as long as I'm doing for God, I feel good about who? About me. Versus resting that I'm already loved. I'm totally accepted. There's nothing that I can do to make Him love me any more or any less. And I've shared this story with you, but I want to share it again. And it's Brennan Manning was a Catholic priest, and he became a Skid Row drunk in Miami. And this was back in the 50s. And so this mother with her matching, mother-daughter with matching hats and gloves came walking down the sidewalk. And he's laying on the sidewalk. And they stop. And the mother looks down and she said to her daughter, "Don't touch that filth." And they step and they walk around him. And he was speaking he was 80-something years old. And he was speaking at Berry College in Rome, Georgia. And I was listening to him, and he said this. He said, "God loves me no more today than He did when I was a Skid Row drunk. Because to think that my actions change the nature of God is very arrogant." You see, God is love. Our actions, my actions, do not change Him. See, His love is unconditional because it's based on whose actions? It's based on Christ's actions. That's how He sees me. That's how powerful this chair is. And there's rest in this chair. See, here I'm striving for love. Love me. Accept me. Here I'm operating from love. See, I'm operating for love here. I'm operating from love here. That He just totally is wild about me. He's just crazy about me. But you see, the way that the brain works is I can teach my left side that. But my feelings, for them to change, have to have a new experience, heart sink. The next one is life over God. And I'm kind of running out of time, so I'm only going to just kind of quickly tell you that life over God is where we try to learn about the world and learn principles about the world and then try to live independently from God. Deism would be a perfect example of this. Do you all know what deism is? It's where basically God, the belief is God created the earth like a clock. He wound it up and he put it here, and he's now removed from it, and He's letting it operate solely on its own. So, in other words, there's no relationship. He's not actively involved in it anymore. It's all running by itself. And so what is up to us to figure out how this is ticking so that life will go well for us. And so there's no real need of God in this principle. We just are trying to alleviate our fears by controlling what we can control through these formulas. But the sad reality is that this actually causes more fear to us because it adds, it just puts a lot of responsibility on us that He never intended for us to carry. And the next one is life under God. And that's basically where we are operating just from a set of rules and regulations. We're fixated on obedience and conformity of behaviors, but that's usually going to be, if I'm fixated on behaviors, whose behaviors am I fixated on? Mine. Versus being fixated on His behavior and what He has done. Dallas Willard so wonderfully calls this the gospel of sin management, which I just think is just like, wow, that's really good. So as I talked about under this, you know, if you're keeping all the rules right, you're good. But if you don't keep the rules, then you're a sinner. Because it's based on whose actions? It's based on my actions. And so you have to appease God through strict obedience to moral and ritual commands versus just trusting that Jesus didn't come to abolish the law. He came to what? He came to fulfill it so that we don't have to, because we can't. That's the good news. He fulfills it because we cannot. That is the wonderful news here. In Hosea 6:6, Yahweh says to His people, I don't want your sacrifices. I want you to know me. Wow. I want you to know me. Isn't that great? So the last posture is life with God. The first four postures are pretty much non-relational, and they are designed, they are built on my actions. But God desired to restore His broken relationship with people, so He sent His Son to dwell with us. Emmanuel, God with us. That's what that means. Emmanuel. It means God with us. God's plan was to restore His creation. It was not to send Him a list of rules and rituals to follow, which is life under God. Nor was it the implementation of useful principles, life over God. He didn't send us a genie to grant us our desires, life from God. Nor did He give us a task to accomplish, life for God. Instead, God Himself came to be with us. Jesus entered into our dark existence to share our broken world and illuminate a different way forward. Y'all, He wants to come into our darkness. How many of you have dark areas in your life? Yeah, all of us. How many of you have parts of your lives that you despise? We all have that. But you see, Jesus came to be with lepers. He came to be with tax collectors. He came to be with prostitutes. He did not come to wipe them off the face of the earth. He came to be with them. Jack Frost put it this way. He said, bad people wanted to be with Jesus. Good people wanted to kill Him. It's like, whoa. And you see, these parts of me I despise, these are the parts of me that need Him the most. He's not coming to get rid of these parts of me. He's coming to be with them. Isn't that good news? It's like, wow. Wow. And He sees this part of me I despise. He doesn't love that any more than the parts that I love, because my actions don't change the nature of God. He loves this part of me just as much as He loves this part of me. Does He want to set this part of me free? Absolutely. That was His mission. In Isaiah, he quoted Isaiah 61 in Luke 4. And He said,